Our guest.
Green for 35 years, so I get to just do it back on camera.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. No, man, it's been amazing. And by the way, that intro with Back to Black is reminds me of my high school days. I was on a wrestling team in high school, and we used to travel in this travel school bus with our hoods on, like our little ECR wrestling team hoodies with and we'd be cranking Back in Black and marching off the bus and heading into the wrestling tournament. So it's funny that it's a little bit of art imitating life on the show. All those songs and all that's happening on the show is a little bit of a piece of my history. And
Were you a good wrestler in high school? Like, was that something you
I,
just did, or did you have like a future with it?
no, I was I was a really good wrestler in high school. I was I think in my city meet ranked second in the city. And a funny story about my wrestling, my final wrestling tournament, which is really funny, is I was down. It was like the same thing in the Karate Kid where you go through the tiers and you see the board and it breaks down to the final two guys. So it's the final two guys is me and this other kid. And so I spot him. I know I got to wrestle him in like an hour. So I'm spotting him in the gym in this high school gym. And I'm almost tracking him, following around, intimidating him, trying to psych him out, get in his head. And this goes on for a while. He's more and more uncomfortable. He keeps moving seats. I think I got this guy. I'm under his skin. Then they call us out into the mat and I'm watching this guy and I'm like, all right, it's time, game's on, ready to go. And he doesn't move. That guy doesn't move, and somebody else comes out. So I've been staring at the wrong guy for an hour, and now this other guy, this other guy comes out. And he's like built differently. He's stocky. I hadn't sized him up at all, and I was on my shoulders in the neck in like 30 seconds. It was awful to me. So it was a sign of things to come, in the Karate Kid, and he took the crane kick. So I was a really good wrestler. I love wrestling. Wrestling was great conditioning. I was really wiry. I wrestled 112, 115, and then 119 in high school. So I was real skinny, but I was liver. My dad was a wrestler. My uncles were wrestlers. So I enjoyed it. It was great conditioning. The football players would come in after playing football and they couldn't hang with the conditioning. It was just great. In fact, that's what got me. Yeah. I think the wrestling is what prepared me to be able to handle the martial art training that I was headed for without knowing it,
And you also, I was going to ask you too about when you were younger. Was acting something you looked at? Because I know your dad directed the Tonight Show, and like, is that one of those things where you're like, that's what I want to do because it's kind of like in the family, or is it never? Did it never occur to you when you were younger?
I was always in. It was always incubating in me. It wasn't something like when I graduated high school. I didn't go to acting school to become an actor. I went to film school to become a filmmaker. I loved acting. I always thought that would be fun. I was doing commercials. I would watch movies and see somebody that I could do that. I want to do that. So yeah, it was always in my heart to do, but it wasn't something I was aggressively pursuing. I didn't go to New York and acting, drama, stage school, all that stuff. And I just went to film school and then got the Karate Kid. And then my career was, happened after that. It was launched out of that, but I always wanted to do it. I was surrounded by it in my life. My dad was a director and an AD, so I grew up on sets literally. It was something very natural. It was like, if it was a very natural thing to want to do, but I was never wowed by it. I was never like, oh, I want to do that. It was just like, that looks fun, and I could do that, and now I hold it the same way. I hold it loosely. I always say that, but I hold it very loosely. I hold it like, take it or leave it. I have to have that attitude with it, and then put my heart into it when I'm working.
When you, after the Karate Kid, you kind of went on a run of being an asshole in like 80s movies. When you start being cast that way, are you like, I mean, it was one thing in Karate Kid, but now it's, just one of the guys and like all these other iconic movies. But are you wondering, like, they keep casting me as an asshole? Do they think I'm really an asshole? Like, is it like, what do they think of me?
Yeah, I didn't think they were thinking. Listen, it was Karate Kid work, and right on the heels of that, Columbia Pictures was doing Just One of the Guys, and they just threw that to me, and it sounded fun to go do another movie. And I'm like, he's a punk. But see, with Johnny, I was able to find the vulnerability and the redemptive arc in him at the end. He hands him a trophy. And I felt like I was going to do that with these other guys. Greg Tolan in Just One of the Guys had no redemption arc at all. He was just a prick. And that actually was pretty fun to play. Just a guy lifting tables and getting food on everybody. That was a lot of fun. And then Back to School rolled around and I'm like, wow, this is becoming a little bit of a trend. But how do you turn down working with that cast with Rodney Dangerfield and all those guys, Kinnison and Robert Downey? It was like, So I had to do it. But what I did with Back to School is I grew my hair out and I envisioned him more as the cowardly lion. I knew at the end he's going to get a cramp. He's going to puss out. So I don't want to play Johnny. I don't want to play Greg Tolan. So I'm going to try to make him a little more funny and endearing. But at that time, you're happy to take these characters in these roles and make them interesting and find an angle in, and that's fulfilling, whether or not anybody ever sees it. So I had a ball playing him. Who knew that was going to be my sort of legacy? I had no idea that, what I was signing up for in that sense. But I had all kinds of other parts come my way too. But those were what I'm known for. Yeah.
When you're on a set, do you develop relationships with people that last, or are they the thing? Like, I mean, you're working again with guys like Rodney and Kinnison and all these amazing people. Are they people that you stay in touch with, or are they people that, like, once it's done, some people just move on to the next project, and then there's some people who will kind of, talk for the next 20 years?
Yeah, it's like putting up a circus tent for a minute, and you're kind of all doing this with the same goal, and you walk away. You make good friends. I'm good friends with, like, the guys from Karate Kid. The Cobra Kais are still some of my best friends. That time I made lifelong friends, but I made friends on everything I've done. I mean, but everybody's on their own direction. Everybody's on their own trajectory with their career and their life. So you have a common thing, and have a common goal when you're working on something together, and you have a reason to hang out. So everybody kind of does their own thing. It's hard to. But I think I stay friendly with everybody. Anybody I've ever worked with, I have a good relationship with. If you saw him, it would be great to see him. But it's not like high school where you're still in the same building and you're gonna hang out every day.
And go ahead, sir.
I was gonna say, like, it was really funny before Cobra Kai had come out at all. Like, there were all these really popular YouTube videos where people had recut and reanalyzed Karate Kid and seen Johnny, kind of how he's portrayed on this show, as, like, the real hero of this story, and that they'd kind of gone like, no, you're not looking at this. Like, he had his girl stolen from him, and everybody liked this guy all of a sudden, and what did you think he was supposed to do? And, like, people figured out, I think, what you're kind of talking about, the redemptive qualities. People started to kind of go like, no, this is the character that we should be cheering, not LaRusso. Had you seen those before you went into Cobra Kai?
Well, I hate to confess this, but actually I produced all those videos. So that was my campaign, dude. Yeah, no, I did. I would see them. They were fun to watch. It was so funny. Like, decades later, people are doing the replay and going, hold on a second, like, we missed something. There was a squirrel on the field, like in Hot Tub Time Machine. Like, hold on a minute. So people are. They're looking back going, hey, it was an illegal kick, which, arguably it was. Now, that's the fun debate. That whole kind of, was it an illegal kick? Gave a lot of gas for the concept and all that. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun to see people dig that up, and I didn't take it seriously. I mean, do I believe that stuff? No, I think it's just fun. That what was really telling was that people care this many years later. That was like somehow affected them so much that they were putting up arguments about it. It became this kind of fun thing to chime in on, kind of tongue in cheek. So you know what I mean? I don't think any of that was really serious. I think it was somebody had a good time with it and it went viral, and then it kind of everybody piggybacked on that. And there's arguments to be said for that. I mean, there's arguments on both sides of that, which we play with in the show. And Ralph and I play with in real life, which is a lot of fun too. So yeah,
and that's kind of that's kind of why it's so interesting to me, because this was your first film. It was like the thing that started your career in such a big way, and then here it is all these years later. And most people never get that opportunity to kind of revisit the thing that kicked them off. Was this like an open call audition, or did you have an agent, or like how did you get this film?
Oh, wow. It's a good question. I had a manager way back when, and I was auditioning for a few things, and one of them was Karate Kid. I read the script. Well, actually, no, I didn't read the script. They called me in. I met Caro Jones and Penny DuPont, the casting directors. They handed me the script. They said, we think you're great for this part. And went home and read it, and he's a karate black belt. He's a motorcycle gang leader. Didn't know how to ride a motorcycle. Didn't know karate. I thought this isn't going to work out, And then I went in on an audition, basically, and then went in, read for John Avildsen. And there was a whole room full of other Johnnies. I'll never forget being almost the energy of the room of all the Johnnies auditioning was enough to make me go outside and sit in my dad's 1970 Volvo and crank some Ronnie James Dio and Zebra and just go, hold on, I'm going to clear my head of this for real. That's the truth. And then they came out, they're like, where are you? It's your turn. And then I walked in past everybody and auditioned in front of John Avildsen and a scene that was cut out of the film. And he kind of looked at me. He said, well, you're a little bigger than our Karate Kid. I said, yeah, well, Bruce Lee was smaller than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And he said, that's true. So let me think about it. So I went home, and then he called me back another time. I read with Ralph. Weeks later, I went home again. And then another week later, they called me and they stretched me in a room with Pat Johnson, who trained us for the Karate Kid. He just kind of bent me in different positions and see if I was limber. He got on the bat phone, said something to somebody at Columbia, and I went home and got a call that I got the part. The funny thing is, when I got the part, they didn't even know what part it was, whether it was Johnny, Tommy, Bobby, or Dutch. Or I said, which one of the Cobra Kais is it? And they're like, Johnny? I'm like, yeah, it's the main guy. That's great. So yeah, that was my audition process for it right out of the gate. You know, it was like.
Did you stick with karate at all or no? Was it
Yeah,
you're like, fuck, I actually like this?
I did like it. I liked it a lot. Yeah, I stayed with it for many years after that in the same style. I was trained for the film Tang Soo Do. And Pat Johnson worked with me. And then I did some other karate movies. So I had to stay in shape for that. I loved it, man. And then I dropped off, you know, for many years. And now Cobra Kai came back around and now I'm back at it.
Have any of the old cast that haven't been on the show yet reached out? Because I feel like as the seasons go on, you know, new characters get brought back. That's kind of the fun of the show, that everybody's getting brought back. We're getting updates on everybody. Have you heard from anybody going like, you know, it's a big show. I got this idea, you know, this character, seeing what he's done. You're like, you're in the movie for 5 minutes, bro. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. No, I think, you know, the most of the messages I get are, you know, hey, so happy for you in the show. It's great. And it's, you know, I think everybody in Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3 are in the canon and the universe of being possibly put into the show and weaved into the storyline. All that's on the writers and when they want to pull them in. I have great relationships with all the cast from all 3 movies, and I've had some really nice text messages back and forth with many of them. Sure, they'd love to be on it, and I'd love for them to. They have to work into this story, though. It has to be an organic.
Yeah.
It can't just be, you know, hey, they are, because we want to see them again. It has to work into the story that's being created today. So
how mind blowing was it when the show launched on Netflix? Because it was out on YouTube. And it was like popular, like people liked it.
Yeah.
Like people were talking about it, people liked it. It was the whole thing. But man, once it showed up on Netflix, it got huge. Like it became like one of the biggest shows in television, really. Was it mind blowing just that how big that transition was?
Yeah, truly. I was excited when Netflix picked it up because YouTube couldn't continue with the show. They stopped doing scripted shows. So we were all of a sudden homeless for maybe 6 to 8 months, and we didn't know if we had anywhere else to go. Sony was shopping it around. YouTube gave them the license to go ahead and try to set it up somewhere else and bring season 3, which was already shot, and sell it to somebody else. So we had, season 3 was in the can. All YouTube had to do was click a button, and season 3 was live and out. And Sony's like, wait, we got to keep that pressure in. Let us set it up somewhere else. And if we can get a buy, they can release it fresh and pull the audience. So we're not starting kind of goofy foot a year later. So we were on the phone with Sony, Jeff Frost over at Sony, keeping us posted on how that was going. And it looked like there were some contenders and Netflix kept taking the lead. And all of a sudden, boom, we got the call that they're making the deal with Netflix. It's happening with Netflix. Just that alone, just hearing that it's going to Netflix, you suddenly feel like you got pulled out of the ocean, you know, dripping wet, saved, going, all right, thank you. You know, and so I was happy just to see it in the comedy section. I'm like, it's going to be great. It's going to be in the comedy section. It'll probably be in the family section. And, you know, just the idea of that. But when it did come out and it blew up the way it did, and there it was trending in #1 and then worldwide, nothing could have prepared me for that. And it was thrilling and exciting. I still haven't quite got my head around that. Too much, you know, stay very micro in the character, and I'm doing my work, and I try not to look outside at all the noise and everything. But it is definitely a great kind of a great hug back from the world. I get all kinds of messages from many countries, and to see that it's saturated like that and everybody's involved and excited about the show it's awesome, man. It's a main stage, you know. It's like we were saying, like YouTube, as great as they were, was many ways kind of minor league, and then this way we've kind of joined the majors, and that it went out and it's working. And I think we needed those first 3 seasons to get the rhythm, to get the show. So we're really ready for Netflix. We pitched it originally to Netflix. We were close to having a deal with Netflix at the very beginning, but I think that it was better for it to go this way. So we found our show, found our chemistry, how everything's working, and now Netflix is taking it from here, and they've done an amazing job. And what they did was just so genius, was they didn't release season 3. Instead of saying, okay, everybody's been waiting for season 3, they said, no, hold the door. Here's Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3, so you can get this around your head, and then get your head around all the canon of this. And then they released seasons 1 and 2 again, and they wanted the world to catch up to it. And now we had the fans from YouTube, we had the world, and then in January they dropped season 3, and it was very smart marketing, and it's been awesome. And we just finished season 4. So
yeah, it was smart. I went back and watched the original. I mean, I've seen the original Karate Kid quite a few times, but I went back and watched it again, and it's nostalgic for people who are in my age group. It's like you're watching something you watched when you were younger, and it's fun to watch it again, knowing that there's a continuation, because I hadn't seen the. So knowing, all right, there's new storyline. So yeah, I'll watch it and then just kind of jump into this. Were you in part 3, or was it just clips, old clips?
It was just archive footage from 1 and 2. Yeah, I was not in.
Do you hate that when that happens? Like, fuck, I would love to have done some new shit for this.
What, I'm in Karate Kid 3?
Yeah. Are you like, Christ, they're using old clips? Like they should have. I would have done something else.
No. I was really happy not being in the film. I was happy with it just being Karate Kid 1. Karate Kid. I was called in for Karate Kid 3. John Avildsen, director, called me in when he was casting it, and he said, I'm trying to figure out Karate Kid 3. It wasn't even written yet, and we had some meetings about it, but it didn't work out. No regrets about not being in that, and as it happened, I wasn't bummed either. I was rooting it on, and moving on to other things myself.
Yeah,
very nice.
Yeah,
You're
when did you?
I would have been jealous. I would have been jealous and bitter. You're much nicer than I am. I would have been furious.
You'd have jealous and bitter. Why? You could. Yeah,
I would have wanted what they had. I would have been furious and rooting against it. You're definitely a better person.
Yeah, that's great.
Was it different going in and shooting season 4? Because I feel like that was probably the season that had the most pressure on it, in the sense that this is now like a big show that the world is waiting for, right? There's expectations that are different now.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. You can't think about it. You can't look at it. You gotta, you just can't look at the crowd. You just have to, you go in knowing that it's working. And so you have a sense of, I wouldn't say security, because that's, but you have a sense of it's doing well. And that's good. That's a good feeling. Season 1, it was an experiment. We're diving into the belly of these characters. This is going to work. We didn't know. We know it's working. So you go in with that. But if you play to, oh my gosh, the expectations are so big, and we have to serve this or serve that, or they like this or they like that, then you're stuck and you're repeating yourself, and you're undoing the work you did, because the work that was done to get you here was micro. It was in the tunnel. So we get to the set. We all were super, amped up that the show had been doing well, and we, it was a big team, all the crew, our producers, our line producers, our grips, the whole team came together, and then we all put our heads in the sand, went to work. So yeah, you can't think about that. It's kind of a trick to do, I think, because you can allow yourself to get overwhelmed by that thought or entertain that thought. But the whole thing about acting is you got to cut all that out. You got to cut all those eyeballs out and trust the writing and trust the character. And then, then later I'll worry about it and hope they like it.
Yeah. It's great, man. Congratulations on everything.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you,
good luck
man.
with the Emmys too. I know you guys want there's a push for good luck with that. I mean, I know that for a show that's a great thing. So I hope you guys get something.
Yeah, I hope the show gets recognized. The creators of this show have done something miraculous. They've taken this IP and turned it into something fresh and new and relevant. It's not a nostalgia grab. It's something very special. If Karate Kid, when they pitched it to me, they said, if Karate Kid didn't exist, this show could still exist. And we could call it Bad Sensei, just like Bad Santa, but you're like the Bad Sensei.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's nice. It would be nice, So we're doing the work, and whatever happens from that, is great. The feedback and the fact that the critics and the fans are loving it, that's what it's all about for me. So, but thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it, man.
Good talking
Thank
to you.
you.
Take care, William.
Thanks, guys.